So I focused on the easy route. I didn't care that style. It was like, oh, you're only lifting from a level 7, 6 to a 10 platinum, whatever they wanted to say. Because it's so hard for stylists to be like, oh, it's a level 11, no yellow. It blows their mind because of the majority of people live comfortably with saying that you have to leave yellow in the hair, basically, that people would rather stay in where everybody is saying it's safe than the minority who are actually doing it, saying, no, it's okay, but you have to do it right.
Welcome to the Hairpreneur Show, the show that teaches you, the hair pro, how to work smarter so you can make more, work less, and live a purpose-driven life on your schedule, not your clients'. I'm your host, Ryan Whedon, and each week I'll teach you awesome, actionable ways to tap into your personal greatness. Through marketing, mindset, and confidence training, it's time to unlock the next level of you. Let's grow. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hairpreneur Show. I am your host, Ryan Whedon. I am stoked to be here today. We've got such an incredible industry leader and icon here, and I'm just so excited to pick his brain because if you go to his page, you follow his posts, you can see that he might even seem like a controversial figure with some of his posts, but if you ever meet him in person, super nice guy. So I can't wait to pick this guy's brain. Let's welcome to the HBS show, Dan Tetreault, also known as Hair Like a Boss. Welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me, Ryan. I appreciate the time that you set aside and inviting me to do the podcast with you.
You got it, man. You're such an interesting guy. And I met you for the first time maybe 3 years ago. I think you helped out at one of our classes in New York. I was there and we had a good time.
I mean, Brandon
Rice?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. He was there. Right. Yeah, that was a great time. We got to meet for the first time there. And that's when you were, I would say, more like on your, not your rise, but you were starting to gain a lot of popularity and really establishing your brand, Hair Like a Boss.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I feel, that was the very beginning. Beginning, how many years ago was that?
Maybe 2017.
Okay. It had to be more than that, though. We've been on quarantine for a year.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, no, but if you think about it, we're almost in 2021, so it's almost 4 years, especially if it was the beginning. So yeah. It is funny though how much happens like in such a short amount of time. Yeah. Especially this year, which feels like it's about a decade long.
It was funny actually. I was thinking like how and when I first met you, and it was some weird shit to me because we'd stay at the same Airbnb, and you put on.
Okay, we might have to edit this out. No, I'm kidding.
You put on rain noises.
Oh, yeah.
Remember to go to sleep? Yo, that's freaking me. I'm like, what the fuck? And shit you not, I put on rain noises to go to sleep now.
Are you serious? Isn't it just
I swear to God.
Game-changing? It's game-changing.
Yeah, it was just so funny because I was like, what? Like, I was thinking about when I met you. What was the first? I'm like, what is he calling the rain noises? I was like, yo, that like weirded me out a little bit. But then now I've probably been doing it for the last like 6 months probably.
That's awesome, man. That's great. It's great. It's like, it's really helps you sleep and really just helps you focus on whether it's rain or waves or white noise or something. It kind of just blocks out the world.
Type of noise in it. Yeah. It's usually some type of noise in it, but like also for a lot of water. I don't know why. It works though.
I got to tell you something else now to try, which I started doing about 2 months ago. And it's also just changed everything. It's just the funniest thing. I must just look like such a weirdo these days. I got the rain music on and I got a mask, a night mask, eye mask. I wear one every single night now so that it's just pitch black. Because, with like phones buzzing, blowing up in the middle of the night, those wake you up and actually does disturb your sleep. So I started doing this and I can't not have it on my head now. Even if I just get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I just put it on my forehead like it's a headband and I just rock it. I must just look like such a funny person. Because
honestly, at like 10 o'clock now, I kind of just put my phone down because it's too much. Like, I think we're almost at the same like position. Your phone's going and your communication is going all the time. And you have a family and I have a family. We have girlfriends, wives. Like, you almost need to like know to cut it off. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think around like 10 o'clock, and she just put me onto that like do not disturb thing, like things could come through. I used to just hit airplane mode, so like everything turned off.
That's what you got to do, because even the do not disturb, it still disturbs you. The light still pops up. You still get the notifications unless you do like no notifications. So it was funny. I was actually one of the Christmas gifts I asked for because I have like several since I've traveled and I've gotten a bad habit of it's fun just traveling first class and they always give you these little bags, especially if you go internationally and you get the night masks and everything. So I started playing around with that. So I asked my wife, I'm like, can you just get me I want a bigger one. I want like one to almost cover my entire face. Pretty soon it'll just be like this one of those one of those bags that, you get scared to have over your head if you're getting interrogated or something. Pretty soon I'll be like, yeah, can you just give me like a burlap sack and I'll just drop it over my head and just wake me up in the morning.
Cancellation. No, I think that's honestly, as far as like spas and like like self-treatments, I feel like that disconnection is going to be like a thing to go visit and like get done. You know what I mean? And in probably like honestly 15, 20 years, because we're so stimulated. And so it's like, we think all of this is so important when really it's not really that important. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're so connected, you don't even realize that you're disconnecting from the important things that are the immediate things next to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're so engaged on things and like, business and
noise. We get stuck in the noise. And I was listening to somebody recently and they were talking about how the internet is like a drug, and what do they call you? What do they call people that use the internet? Users.
Yeah.
Like your username.
Yeah.
We're users, Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And they're not stupid. Like when Instagram when Facebook bought Instagram, they made that like button to connect to your dopamine. It's like, there's no limit on the numbers that you can get. So just like how we started on Instagram, once you hit that 500 likes, you're like, oh, I got 500 likes. And then if you like 500 was nothing, and then it was like 1,000, and then you got 1,000, you're like, oh, I got 1,000. And now it's like, oh, okay, I want 2,000. You get 2,000, and then it ain't shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I try to tell people. If you're chasing numbers don't end, and you're never going to be happy. You know what I mean? No matter what number it is. Like, people think their life is going to change at 100,000 or 200,000 or 500,000. Like,
it's not.
Nothing. Nothing's going to change.
No matter how much money you make, and the more money that I make, the more I realize that, money is just a number, and you're always going to want more than you have. But if you want to really find that like peace and happiness in your life, you have to find it elsewhere. You have to find it through your family, your friends, through your passions and your purpose, not from the money in your account.
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah. But money does solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. It's financial freedom.
Yeah.
As long as, and a lot of people misconstrue that, even like, I guess like even what I display or like the business and having that money, a lot of people think because they make a lot of money, they have a lot of money. But I know, like I say it a lot of time, I know a lot of rich, broke people, like they're almost have a lot of money, but at the same time, they're spending it like they're getting it. So they're just as quote unquote poor than the person working at a gas station driving a Mercedes.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So like, there's no such thing like wealthy or being rich has to do with living at a status lower than what you're bringing in. You know what I mean?
Right.
People mess it up all the time.
If you make $1 million, but you spend 999,000 of it, it's like
you're broke. broke. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people.
It's not how much money you make; it's how much money you keep.
Oh, exactly. Like that's, I guess, one of the things, even coming from like business and going to college and all that stuff. And I guess just the beginning of like where I come from of not having no money, that the first time, I guess it was just like a moment in my life. The first time I was able to hold $10,000 cash was, it was like a thing. You know what I mean?
You feel rich, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I guess so. I mean, that was I saved a lot, but like, I don't know, like no money that I've ever made has ever made me feel any different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't care how much I've ever had. It really means nothing. You know what I mean? If I was to go to the hospital tomorrow, or someone was to die tomorrow or anything like that, I would like all my money. I would just give all my money to get that thing back. You know, your health or your mom or your dad, like all that money and those things mean nothing. Like when you really look at the biggest picture.
Well, that says a lot about you as a person too. And I feel the same way. Whereas some money, when people come into money, like certain people become obsessed with the money and they become a different person.
Yeah.
You know, potentially like I
mean, I act
a mean
stupid.
person.
Like, I buy stupid shit sometimes, but like
we all do.
Yeah, because you want to. You know what I mean? It's like when you what do they call that? You deserve that. When people say, "Oh, you just," I don't think I deserve it. I just want the shit.
Yeah. Well,
like,
I'm the same way, man. You know, as I did a post the other day and about how I don't buy Gucci, I don't buy certain things, and I don't because I'm not really that super fashionable because
that's not you.
Don't have the time to keep buying all that new stuff all the time. I wouldn't know what to wear
like
anyway. But I've got like the nicest microphones. the nicest cameras, the nicest lighting. You know what I mean? So I spend my money elsewhere, but I also make sure that I'm spending money that I know I am able to spend.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's just two different lives. And I think but going back to the original thing, I think a lot of people mess that up when they see things and people spending. And we see it all the time, like scams and like, you know, I'm into hip hop. So I see a lot of like rap artists and like what they like the life they portray is not always the life they're living, like 80% of the time.
That brings us into you, Hair Like a Boss. This is great because I feel like when I watch you, sometimes it's almost like watching a rap video. Just the way you're flaunting the money, you're showing the dollar bills, the Louis Vuitton, and this really awesome lifestyle. And what you're putting out there, if I'm not mistaken, is just like you're showing that hairstylists are capable of leading a life that is rich with not just with, you know, money, but you can kind of lead your own life. You can be independent. You don't have to be part of a big brand to be successful and to be super successful.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because the reason I got into hair for, I guess you'd say on a micro level, is that you control where you end up. You know what I mean? So you can do $15 haircuts and accept like walk-ins your whole career, or you can be a celebrity stylist charging $1,500 a haircut. It's all happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what like dude's name. I think I saw him on TV one time, Ted Gibson or something. Like, he's a one-on-one. I think he charges $1,000 for a haircut. See what I'm saying? So like, I'm someone that I'm self-motivated. Like, I know everybody's like, sometimes I address like a lot of haters all the time, but like, honestly, if I don't have those people pushing me, I have no reason to prove anybody wrong. It gives me no reason to move further. Cause I mean, I've been in the game, like I've been doing hair for like 8 years now, 2 years assisting, and I've been retired for 2 years. See what I'm saying? Like, so if I didn't have all that like behind me, like, and like people doubting and all that, like it wouldn't have motivated me. Like, I'm cool. Like, I'm comfy. Like I don't know how to say it. Like,
no, it's amazing.
I need that push. You know what I mean? So like, I almost like seek it out to keep that fire,
right?
To get where I needed to go. But clearly it's got me where the hell I am. And I never would I have ever, the amount of money I made during teaching all those classes independently. I mean, you teach classes and you have other people, you know the hell I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, right.
Never. And I have no kids. I have no real big obligation. I don't like, you know what I mean? I've never thought I would ever see that type of money in that short span.
It's amazing. And then you've also, I mean, your heart is like an entrepreneur's, right? I see you all starting new businesses kind of all the time until you find something that's really working. And God, I really want to dive into the Blonde Solutions, which is just, it looks incredible. Can you tell me about that? That's like your newest, biggest venture, right? Your bleach.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the end goal, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
I own a company, you know what I mean?
Right.
So if you think about it, again, the biggest money maker in hair is hair color, right? And this is what I teach in my classes. And people are like, oh, why would you want to do this, blah, blah, blah. But if you think about it, again, you come into, and this is how I focused on blonde, like how I focused on platinum so fast. If you focus on the industry, you want to know where the cap is, like as far as money, where is the most money being made? In hair color, what hair color? Blonde, what color blonde? Platinum. So that's why I went to it so fast. You know what I mean?
Right.
So with going through that stuff, like again, so all right, so I taught all the stuff. I started doing certain levels of blonde that people are saying you can't do, or it's going to break off the hair, this, that, and the third. But I was doing it. So it was getting more undeniable. I started doing videos, and then like I would make sure you see my skin, and you make sure it wasn't just a plain white backdrop, because I learned that like people were filtering stuff. And like I still don't to this day. If I don't care who you are, even if I'm cool with you, if I don't see no skin and a white backdrop and your hair's platinum, I don't believe it. And that's just the way I am. Because I didn't know about these filters. I didn't know about like all these editing things. Like I still have an iPhone 7 Plus, crack screen, the same shit. Like on God, like I bought like my girl made me buy some $700 Canon Rebel. I don't put that much effort. Like the money I'm going to make is from the work I do. Once she leaves, cool. As long as I get content on my page, I don't care to be professional and like have the best picture and like the most gorgeous girls. That was never my intent. So basically fast forward. So making these platinums, I focused on a level, like I was taking clients level 7s and up, because you can absolutely, if you think about it as a hairstylist, you can get a girl 7 to level 11. That's only 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 4 levels basically, really 5 because you have to lift. So 5 levels, right? And think about how hairstylists think. They're like, oh no, that can't be done. That's very damaging in the hair. But why will they praise someone that lifts from, we'll say, a level 2, Asian, black hair, to a level 10? How many levels is that? That's like 8.
It's a lot.
9 levels.
Right.
So what they're saying is cool, it's healthy, we can do that. That's 9 levels. But when they talk about me lifting from a 7 to an 11, that's 4 levels. They're saying that's damaging.
That's highlight. That's highlights. I mean, we highlight somebody's hair. Yeah.
So what I think, again, why I focused on it, I quickly realized, yes, if you take levels 2 to 11 and try to maintain it, it's a ticking time bomb. Like that is damaging on hair because you're lifting so many levels. So that's where you get all that controversy where I would be like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, I'd like to see you do it on that. So I focused on the easy route. I didn't care that style. It was like, oh, you're only lifting from a level 7, 6 to a 10 platinum, whatever they wanted to say.
Right.
Because it's so hard for stylists to be like, oh, it's a level 11, no yellow. It blows their mind because of the majority of people live comfortably with saying that you have to leave yellow in the hair, basically, that people would rather stay in where everybody is saying it's safe than the minority who are actually doing it, saying, no, it's okay, but you have to do it right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I hear it all the time now, like all the time where people are saying like low and slow. Like I hear it all the time now. I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm the first one to say it, but like that's what I was saying. Like, nah, you can get platinum with 10 volume.
Right. It'll take longer, but it'll be safer to do it because a lot of times the peroxide is almost could be even more damaging than the actual bleach itself because you're using 40 volume. And gosh, remember when you were using 50?
Okay, good point. And this is a little education. So if you think about it, like a gun, right? You have a gun. And then you have the bullets. You can have the strength of the bullets. The gun is the bleach. The bullets are the developer. Any bleach. You take 40 into like, I'm not going to say brands names now, but like if you take 40 into and put it into a brand and you'll melt some hair off. But if you take 10 and go slow, it'll get there. Right. I know that because I used basically every brand. So I just knew that the majority of people didn't understand what I was saying because they weren't willing to risk basically being a part of the minority people against it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it got me to where I am in my career so fast. Like, I was literally teaching. I didn't ask to teach. I wasn't even trying to teach. People were reaching out to me. So I probably spent about 2 years nonstop. I mean, if you saw it, I was flying somewhere around the world every weekend. Yeah. It got tiring, but from teaching, and it was good because this is before really independent education was independent education. I guess because I was the first one to talk about using any brand to make anything happen. Right. And then I was showing up to classes with like Manic Planet Bleach, Sally's Ion Color, Wella, Schwarzkopf's. I was showing classes with all these brands. And people just, they can't, it was just so crazy to them. Because they were like, oh no, you can't put Redken with Wella. It won't work. It's color.
Well, a lot of the companies will say that like, oh, we put a special ingredient that only reacts with this. And that might work, in certain lines to some degree. But I mean, I know it's also just like kind of like a marketing ploy. Like, oh, you have to buy ours because, they just look better together on the shelf.
So we put more money in our pocket.
Right.
So I guess I was the first person showing up using all these brands and kind of going against what everybody is taught because everybody's taught. Like they'll see that person that is represented by that brand. And it's almost a loophole for that brand to hire that person to go out and say, oh, no, you have to use all these. So they want to hire or learn from the person, but they also didn't understand until they took that class that person is just going to teach you what Schwarzkopf taught them to say.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Oh, I didn't mean to say that name, but like that's just in general. I can say it.
Sure. You know 100%. Yeah.
So I started teaching those classes and then I got so busy. But at the same time, as a businessman, I saw that other people could do what I want, like do what I do. I'm like, we're not the only ones. I learned from somebody, and I learned from more people than just one person. I just made it my own thing, and I was just very strict about taking certain levels to that white. But I started having other people teach for me, like kind of like what you did. We had that conversation a while back about like doing the classes. But it's so hard for me to lose control because, or come out of like me teaching classes and having other people do it because what I do, and there's like no disrespect for the whole like balayage world, but a bleach and tone from roots to ends, you can't hide anything. You know what I mean? It's like I can't just be like, oh, you look like you do good bleach and tones because again, filters, blah blah blah, all these things, anything could look good to me. I have to see it in person, and a balayage is about like balayage. more or less with any root smudge in a blend, which
you can hide things, you can cover up things, you can.
It blows my mind how many.
Yeah.
It blows my mind how many. So many stylists like, oh, you just have to curl it.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
You did not do my hair with the intent of me curling that section a certain way. They're just putting the blame of the curl to the like pushing off the fact that they didn't blend the hair well.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to like, make excuses or blame whatever. Oh, that's just the look. Like I do balayages all the time and like open air and all that stuff, but it blends. Like you don't have, you can leave it straight.
Yeah, that's the total test too. If you can make balayage look nice when it's straight, then you deserve praise as a balayage artist.
Yeah, that's the top. But yeah, so when I started doing education, like I put some people under it and had them teach classes. But I knew I knew them almost on a personal level, so I knew they were already like a beast. But it was hard for me to let that go. But I'm still working on it. And then COVID kind of bumped, like right when I started making that move and putting other educators on and giving them my classes, because again, like I'm only one man. I can only teach one class every Monday.
Right.
So I wanted to put other people on, kind of like how you're doing, and putting them under the brand. The COVID kind of stopped that. So again, as you're teaching classes, people ask two questions only. What bleach did you use?
What'd you tone
and
with?
What toner? And what toner? Isn't that the question?
Right.
Right?
Always.
What bleach? What toner?
That you get those in classes, you get those online. Like there's one size fits all, right? You can't answer that question unless you're answering a direct question to something that you did, Yeah. But you can't just say oh, you got to use this toner, it'll work on anyone. No.
No, I love that. That's why people are like, oh, I'll never give out my formula. Every formula
give it out
for that one.
What, are they going to copy you? Are you afraid they're going to actually know how to bleach like you and tone like you? If you're afraid of that, then you have other issues going on.
About education or informing, think about it this way. Like when the beginning of my career, I learned from like Guy Tang, right? Guy Tang was on YouTube making all these videos. I'm still not Guy Tang.
Right.
And you can go on his YouTube and watch every video step by step for 2 hours long. So it doesn't matter how much you give out. You can watch things all day. For example, I taught so many classes, and I think say 30 people at every one of my classes. I think maybe 3, I don't know, we'll say 3 to 5 or 6 come out really beastie. And then we'll say anywhere from 6 to 15 pick up tips and tricks. You know what I mean?
Right.
But everybody's not going to get it. I've taken classes, but I don't intend to take a class and come out being like that person. I intend to take a class to maybe get 2-3 tips and tricks.
Right.
Something that I'll put to my work, And
I always say too, if you can even find one, if you can go away with the class and come back with one game-changing tip that's going to help you make more money or do better work, then it's worth it. It doesn't matter how much you spend, because you're going to make that back.
Oh,
right.
And if you have your business set up, every class is a write-off.
Right.
I mean, if you're set up right, you could take classes left and right. I mean, you have to have the money to pay for it in front, but you're going to get it back. It's as long as you have all your information set up right. So that brought me on to Blonde Solutions. I guess Blonde Solutions really evolved from me representing another company that we bought into to represent. But then I'm not going to say that dude's name. That dude just did bad business with us.
Sure.
And just thought we were stupid. And I know numbers. So when we started seeing numbers and things not matched up right, we were just like, yeah, we got to go.
I think a lot of people look at hairstylists and think we're not that smart.
Oh God. All we deal with is numbers, level 1 through 10 and how much to charge you. That's it.
Right.
How many bowls do we make?
I mean, we might not all be the best with numbers, but I mean, there's definitely some very, very smart hairstylists. And, I'm talking to one right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like how I said it today, and I feel like you're the same way. And I think I might know a couple other people, you're really not a hairstylist. And I'm not really a hairstylist. We're businessmen.
Right. Hair is a vehicle. Hair is a vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah. And
we love it. And we just found a passion and purpose by doing hair, through doing hair.
Correct. And I try to tell people that.
Right.
I loved it enough to get to the level of quality of work to get me to the next step and then the next step. So you do have to get good. No one would like us, or no one would respect us enough in a results type of world if our work wasn't good enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I try to tell the people that all the time, because so many people that are actually really good and they don't understand why they don't grow or why people don't see them. It's because they're so worried about the thing that they already are good at that they're not focusing on what's grabbing attention, like that raw, you pull out foils or you're showing the bleach on the roots. Like that's what grabs attention on Instagram.
Right.
The videos, like I'll post a video of finished, beautiful hair and they'll get like 3,000 views. I'll show a video of me pulling out foils or doing like, you know, me rinsing off a root and it'll get 100,000 views.
Right.
People watch train wrecks. People don't watch, like put it this way, when you are on the Autobahn, they'll watch a Ferrari going 200 miles an hour between cars because they want to see something bad happen.
Right.
They won't watch a Honda Civic going 65 down an empty highway.
Right. They're just hoping that guy gets pulled over.
Yeah. So what I try to say with that and to help people build on Instagram is that you just have to grab people's attention. Like there's some like when I see some certain stylists put these videos up and their videos do so well. And I just know as a stylist, like I know that shit's really a hot mess. They're just putting a darker root on it to hide it all.
Right.
And then 4 rows of extensions to hide the fact that half her hair is gone. Like you can't hide that from real hairstylists. You know what I mean? But it grabs attention and it gets notoriety. I never wanted that notoriety.
Right. But I feel like those train wrecks, and I know some, you know, some are coming to my head when I see those images and those videos, right? But when I see some of those, I just know that they're not really creating a brand. It's just, they're just creating clickbait. They're just building a following of people that probably will never buy anything they sell anyway.
Because they're just commercial. It's like the next brand. And that's why I got onto Blonde Solutions the way I did, is because me and my partners, like we were introduced to a lab and a technology that wasn't brought to bleach yet. And we started working on to bring it into the lightener. And just so happens, we worked with a lab in Italy and they figured it out enough. And we're still looking to evolve the bleach. But I can honestly say that there is no other bleach on the market that even comes close to what it does. And that's just wholeheartedly, like, that's just real. And I would never have put my money as a businessman into a product that I would have to spend all my money knowing I wouldn't spend all my money into a product knowing it's just like the rest, because then what do you spend all your money on? Advertising to convince you it's better than the rest, right? So I knew against bleach, like what's been the last evolution of technology in a bleach?
Bond builder, probably, right?
Yeah. And bond builders are already out.
Sure.
So and Olaplex and B3 and all of them have such a stronghold in that anyways, that people are buying these bleaches with bond builders in them, still putting bond builders in them, because we would rather give the excuse, or if something goes wrong, like, oh, I don't know why your hair melted off. I used bond builder.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, even for the longest time, I rarely use, like my go-to was like B3 and another one called Ultra Bond Seal, but I barely used it because as a stylist, we have to have integrity to know that should that hair be brought to that level, you know, especially with what I do. I guess
like don't push it just because you're heading in a bond builder and you think it's some some force field, some shield.
Correct.
Right.
So going back to the bleach, I haven't seen any bleach step up that really was like, wow. But I can honestly say everything, it lifts and tones. So you are going to get a much better end result. I know it's kind of weird, but we just did a compare contrast about ours against theirs.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to do it, but as a business, you really have to start and people are like, but if you think about it, what does Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile do? People
they're battling. Shit. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So if you think about 3 or 4 fucking things, what do you hear? Redken Flash Lift, Wella Gold Blondor, Schwarzkopf,
Blonde
and probably and then we'll say Joico. So that's really AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and Sprint, right? So, but we're just so like scared to like almost say things like that. It doesn't bother me because, like, you know what I mean? Because it just doesn't bother me. Like if it's fact, then it's fact.
Well, but I mean, comparing and contrasting isn't like you're copying or stealing, which I think obviously is not a great thing to do. It's not a great way to live somebody's life, but you're not doing that. You're just you're comparing it so that you can actually market it, so that you can actually even probably before you launched it, just to make sure that it was going to be able to compete with the big boys.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We knew that. We kind of, until you see it, I know you're with Wella now, but I mean, it's ridiculous. And it scared me because how ours works, it works off the oxidation and the air introduced to the pigment capsules. So you actually have to mix it for 3 to 4 minutes, like pretty thoroughly to introduce the oxidation. And so like how I was using, let's say, Blondie back in the day, And Blonde Me works significantly chemically different than our bleach, because like, that's why you see, you know, I don't want to keep saying that name, but that's the bleach I used before my bleach. But like, it would swell, and it would overheat, foils would turn liquid, because it was, you know, again, the chemicals that they used in it allowed it, you had to use low volume because of the strength of the chemicals in it. So now that I'm used to it, 7-vol, like I was lifting girls crazy.
Yeah,
like
7-vol, right? Yeah.
So we learned low and slow based off the information from the products that we're used to. But now I have a bleach that works completely different. So now we have to use, like, we start at 20 volume and we work with 35 volume, because the air that's inside those higher developers actually make it start working. So it's almost like a re-education, but ours, so like we have to compare and contrast. Another consumer of ours, a customer of ours, used ours versus Gold. What was it called? Goldwell? Yeah, Goldwell. Yeah. And such an old brand. We're like, what is that shit called? Sure, like, I don't know who it uses, but like, it was Goldwell Silk Lift or something like that. And then Redken Flash Lift. And then they did ours. So they used it all with 10 volume, all three strand tests.
Right.
And when theirs was at like a brassy 9, ours was already at a clean tone, like a clean platinum. Not because ours is stronger, because it lifts in tones. So people think that ours is stronger. It's not true. It's actually working at the string length. So like, when theirs is still brassy 9, ours is toned, but still at the health of a level 9.
That's incredible.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I kind of want to change gears a little bit here, if that's cool. But if somebody wants to try Blonde Solutions, if they want to get in their salon, how can they do that?
Just go to blondesolutions.com. Yeah, we're orders now. We have like 5,000 more coming. We should be good by next month with full inventory. But, you know, even with COVID, like, we had to have a boat. We had to start flying stuff in. Like, you don't have. Yeah. So like, when products, you either have to boat it in or you have to fly it in. And when you could boat something in for maybe $6,000 for huge inventory, you have to fly a small inventory in for like 20 grand. So it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Well, congrats, man. That's just such a cool thing you're doing. Now, I know that you always helped other stylists. You've always supported other stylists in growing their followings and making more money to prove that anybody can do it if they put the time and energy into it. One thing I noticed you do a lot of, and I'd love to hear more about how this works, is you would say, I'm looking for stylists with social media following of, say, under 5K. And you create these groups, or you're looking for 30 stylists or something like that to help them grow. Yeah. How does that work? And how have you been doing that?
Oh, that's just an engagement group. So
is that like a pod? What they used to call pods?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So what I would do, a lot of people, like, there's still engagement groups now. Like, I see like these, like, you can tell who it is. They're all in the same fucking comments, doing this. It's the same people getting these not authentic compliments. You know what I mean? Like, you're forced to like that person now. So the engagement groups are really to help grow these smaller pages and these smaller stylists. And I would still, you know, you can't grow with bad work, unfortunately. No matter how great and how much assistance you have to be somewhat okay. So as I was working the page, I realized, like, I still would have to help people. And honestly, it came from, like, I was part of a group called like 1,000 or Bust, right? Remember that?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was with the Hot on Beauty. Is that right? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
So my personal opinion on that, because I was part of it, but they were only like busting people that had already almost 1,000 followers. Like, it was like 992.
Okay. Huh.
Like, I could just say their name and they'll get fucking 100 followers. Like, it's not a problem.
Right.
So like, they're building clout and a name off something that they're not really like doing much for, because I came to them with a stylist that had, like, you know, 800 something, and it was a strong stylist with good work. And they're like, no, we don't want to take that. We don't want to. I'm like, what do you, like, how does this work then? And they're like, oh, we really tried to work with people who are 20 followers to 1,000, like almost getting like 20 followers away from 1,000. I was like, this shit ain't real. Like, you're not really doing, like, and no disrespect, but like, that's my opinion. Like, are you helping, or are you like saying you're helping? Like,
well, kind of like, it's not, I mean, I can't imagine if you're doing good work that it's hard to get 1,000 followers. You know, if you're posting regularly, if you're engaging regularly, if you have 20 and you can't get past 20, then You don't go to a group to try to fix that, right? You got to just do the freaking work. Get behind the chair, take some photos, post.
I mean, there's plenty of things. It blows my mind how many people don't put effort into, into learning things. But yeah, so I started a podcast. I mean, the group, the pod, and it helped a lot of people. A lot of those people now still, and it was showing that I was willing to take my following or my time to help people. And that's authentically, I wanted to like help people. So now it's turned around. And to be honest, even with my partners, like I never expected to sell as much as we sold with Blonde Solutions. I never did. I thought there was going to be this huge learning curve. I thought stylists were going to be apprehensive. Every time we have it, we sell out every time.
Well, you know why it works is because you already established yourself as this platinum blonde, like master, right? So then what does a platinum blonde master need? A platinum blonde bleaching solution, right? And then it's like you already had the following for people that wanted to reproduce work that you were doing. And now you're like, oh, I'm just going to give you an extra tool here to do it. So that's like the ultimate formula to create this big brand first and then do the product.
And honestly blows my mind, I guess you say, even with going back to like the Hairpreneur show.
Yeah.
Like right now, you might have to edit this part out. But like if I was to say, Ryan, I can get you a bleach that is not like on the market. You can sell it on all your Masters of Balayage stuff. It will be a balayage clay lightener. Mm-hmm. It will be packaged and labeled for $9 each. Would you want that?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean $9 each?
So like I can get you a bleach made, packaged in a can for $9 each.
Wow.
But then you have to ship it. You have to make your profit and margins, right?
Right. So almost like selling it at cost for like you're buying retail for your salon or something like that.
That's just any distribution. Like that's what most bleaches cost. Most bleaches coming before like the numbers you need to meet. Most bleaches are being put on the shelf at like $4 to $6.
Right. No, it makes total sense. Yeah.
So like that's even like back when, before even all this happened, like Zach, like why doesn't Zach have a bleach?
Mm-hmm. Do you think it comes down to like maybe mindset or maybe just not thinking a certain way? I mean, I don't think everybody has that entrepreneurial brain. I don't think everybody has that entrepreneurial brain or wants to put themselves.
But I'm talking to you.
Yeah. What about me?
Why haven't you done it?
We got some things in the works. So,
all right. That's all I needed to know. But I'm telling you, even if like, all right. So like, if you can get a bleach that is actually going to give results that can't compete at $9 a can, then hit me up.
Okay.
Because I can make that happen. I just don't want to mess with I don't want to mess with the balayage world. That's just not my thing.
Okay.
But even like before coming on this show, like that's what I sounds like, like you have Masters of Balayage, you have all these education platforms, you have all of this, all that.
Right.
Like, why don't you have a bleach?
Right. Yeah,
you have crazy more followings. Like your page is bigger. You have this hair show. You have educators under you. And even if a company like say Wella, they cut the check, you make $200,000 a year off Wella, right? Mm-hmm. Because now they're pushing it down your master balayage classes.
Sure.
They're pushing it through you. They're making crazy. But what if I told you can make $200,000 a month?
Yeah, that's the big money right there. That's the life-changing money.
What do you think Blonde Solutions? Like Blonde Solutions, not to say $200,000 a month because that's the inventory has been there,
right? But it's got the potential for it. Easy at the potential for it. Yeah. And you know what? For a small company, $100K a month is that ain't no joke, man.
That's off small inventory.
Yeah,
that's off like 5,000 bleaches, 8,000 developers.
Now, how long did you want to do this? Was this something that has been on your mind for a while, or did you become really great at? And did you coin the term Nordic Blonde, or is that something that?
I own it now.
You own the name Nordic Blonde? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that name.
I haven't put it to use yet, but I got the trademark.
So you became a master first and then...
master nothing. I'm not the best person. Like people say that. Like,
you can still be a master. I feel like a master is still always a student. You know what I mean? Like you're not like...
Yeah.
That's the way I look at a master. Like, am I the best balayager in the world? No. Am I really dang good and can face most situations without sweating? Yeah. And exactly. I feel like a master knows that they're always a student as well.
Yeah, it came from magazines. The name came from magazines. They just gave it a whole new point. And I guess that's like another big thing. Most stylists, I've been in in many magazines, and I got posted in Vogue. I guess Vogue is a pretty big magazine. It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
because
I've heard of them.
Like,
yeah.
yeah. So it never, like those things, like being, you'll go on certain pages and people are like, oh, I guess you'd say BTC nominated or award winning. Like, I don't care, because those things never cut me a check.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I was modern 100 top stylist. They just gave me that title. They didn't do anything for me. I didn't get, like, it's those titles I don't care about.
Right.
They mean nothing to me.
Well, here's the thing though. I think one thing I see often when I see Instagram pages of stylists that are looking to get more business or looking to make more money, I feel like they're focusing on the wrong things. I feel like they are putting all these accolades that are only going to impress other stylists, where they're not actually trying to reach more clients. Yes. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. You don't need to be the best out there, because you're not competing against all these other stylists. You're competing to get clients in your chair, and that is a lot easier than trying to be the best on Instagram.
And I completely agree. And I had that talk a lot. And honestly, my classes, when I started teaching, like when I started doing the blondie classes, my classes were like 70% therapy and 20% doing hair. Like, because they don't realize that, like, honestly, like when I was behind the chair and I was doing like open air balayages a while ago, you could probably do easy by yourself, because I never had an assistant. You could do 4 good ones a day. Mm-hmm. But if you're trying to do a bleach and tone, you basically can do 1 a day. Mm-hmm. Like a full bleach and tone makeover. If you're doing a retouch, you probably do 2 people a day. But you have to babysit those situations. And when I tell people that, the hair industry and schools have taught you that if you don't have, 5 to 10 to 12 clients a day, you're going to be broke. Mm-hmm. But now if you really think about it, the hair goals, the stylists that are doing hair goals that everybody brings to a stylist, the hair that's being done in those pictures are taking 7 to 9 hours to be done.
Right.
So it almost has to be a revolving understanding that quality and those levels of hair can't be done in 3 hours. And you have to let the clients, you have to let the public know that your expectations don't meet reality. And again, that goes back to why
saying no is hard for stylists.
Yeah, but once you start getting good, that's even imagine me, how many times I said no because I was accepting levels. Honestly, I would take level 6, 5s and up, but I would only say 7. So those lower levels wouldn't hit me up.
Right.
And then my career went from like basically 0 to 100 in we'll say 3 years. You know what I mean? Because I got control, because I knew what I can do. So my no was respected when girls were like, all right, he doesn't even want my money and he's not even willing to take me. And he's saying no, like, thank you. Because I would tell them why. Right. A lot of these stylists are just yes you, and I have it happen around, me all the time. Like, they'll say no to my price, go somewhere for $40 cheaper, get their hair wrecked, and then ask me to correct it. And I don't do corrections.
So if somebody's looking to get into doing what you do with the bleach and tones, and they want to have 1 client a day, or you're saying if you want to do it well, you should really only have 1 client a day. How could somebody start to shift from a busy schedule into that? And how would you price it? And how would somebody that's just getting started price it?
Okay. So don't do what you're doing until you're a renter. And most people in the South, like evolution, like once you're a renter, you're pretty good. You have a following, right? Because you don't start renting with no following. So then you're pretty good. And then you have to think, if you want to be in that niche, it's headaches. You're doing in my opinion, you're doing the hardest possible hair that we have in our industry. You know what I mean? Level 10s, 11s, healthy, clean. Like, you can see if one area is a little off. Right. And they know, like, if you make a girl who wants white platinum, silver, she's pissed. And that formula is like a dash extra of a violet or a dash extra of maybe like a silver that you might use. It's crazy. So you have to be ready for a lot of unhappy people, I guess you would say, and a lot of stylists, on your back. But you would make the transition from doing, and this is how I teach my students. I say, go find, 1 model a month, a girl that's, working at Starbucks, Forever 21, any of these big places, but they're usually younger.
And they're trendier.
Correct. But what do young girls, 2 things they have. They have the want to get something cool done to their hair, and they usually have healthier virgin hair. So I always, and this is how I did it. I took so many models on healthy hair to get them where I wanted, where people like, again, they just didn't understand. I'm doing unhealthy hair because you have to do it on healthy hair.
Right.
People are like, oh, I'd love to see you do that on a level 2 with highlights that are already white. Like, you don't do it on those levels. Like,
right.
I'm not, you know
right.
what I mean?
You're right. You're like, right. I don't do it because it's not possible.
Yeah, it's not possible, but it's so not worth the risk.
Right.
And there's many, you know, I don't know what that saying is, but there's many ways, not to skin a cat, but like to get to the end result that I wouldn't do those things. You can make a girl feel platinum by doing a full head foliage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't have to bleach out the whole head if that's not the option. But to go back where I was getting at, I went from being busy all day, like my phone, my family couldn't contact me from like 10 in the morning to about 7, 8 o'clock at night because I was doing the foliage, the balayage, and all that. So I was busy. Mm-hmm. And then I turned around, I focused. You know, you would read them out. You would do like, you know, one thing, like 2 people a day. And then you realize like, yo, I could have done a little bit better if I just took my time and gave myself like an hour and a half extra to do that client. It would have been perfect. So then you start realizing like it's the time, not the talent, not the effort, nothing else, but more of the time. And that's what these bleach and tones, high levels need. They need the time. So then you'll realize, and when you're done, anybody that's watching this video, if you're do what I do, when you do one bomb ass bleaching tone, you're done for the day. It's like a unicorn. It's euphoria. You want to take pictures. You'll take pictures for like 15, 20 minutes. And you just want to have a cold drink and go have some food. It's like you're done for the day.
Just drop the mic and start celebrating. Exactly.
So because you're putting such a rarity into now the market walking around you that it's going to go sell itself now. That girl is probably going to get you 3 or 4 possible clients that will hit you up. And you have to make sure, if you're trying to grow real money in a real clientele, you have to make sure that you are putting out work that ultimately exceeds your competition near you, or at least meets the competition near you, but mostly exceeds the competition near you. And that's the thing. Like, I live in West Springfield, Massachusetts, but my clientele was coming from like 2 hours away from me because I'm perfectly between Boston, Mass and New York City. So people are coming from, you know, Boston, Cape Cod, New Hampshire. Then I had like New York City, New Jersey, and people were flying to me. So when people are like, oh, nobody around here wants to pay those prices. Okay, get so good that people are traveling to you.
Right. And
there's nothing a stylist that can say to me that I have not done. Right. So you can't say, oh, that I can't do that. Oh, no. You just haven't put the effort in to put you in the position to do so. And I know that because you know me. Like I took no sponsorships. Like I worked with a couple brands, but once they were like, oh, you really shouldn't put that on your page. Like, it's my page. Don't tell me what to do. Yeah, bye. Right. Like I don't care. I was dropped, like one brand dropped me because they said I was racist. Like someone must have hit them up and told me I was racist. I'm racist. So like, okay, bye. Like, take care. Like, it's so crazy. Like, it's, I don't know. I was always, and this is life. Yeah. You have to put yourself in position that no matter what happens around you, that your plan is still going to happen with or without people. And that's just how I am. Like, that's why I like hair, because hair is you. You make all that happen, like whatever it may be.
Right.
So yeah, so going back to your original question, you just have to put the time in, the effort in, and you make that transition. Do you have to eat shit for a little while? Yeah, you have to. But once you start getting there and you start doing them, then it's the money's all the time. And you asked about that, how you get paid, do hourly. The only industry left is hair that we like. It's crazy. What are 2 things, again, going back to the hairstylist, when a client hits you up, 2 things, what do they ask you?
What, how much?
Can you do this?
Yeah, and how much?
How much? Right?
Yeah, right.
So why is our industry so scared to say this client took 8 hours to do and it cost her $900? Why are we so scared to say that?
Well, I think a lot of people don't say that because it might have taken them 8 hours, but they only charge 200. so I don't think most stylists charge what they're worth. They undercharge because they feel like they should be better or be faster. That's what I see a lot of times.
Well, you can't charge a lot. Well, like you said something kind of, in my opinion, backwards. Like, if you took a while and the work's still shitty, you're just shitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean?
If you're talking about like a beautiful transformation that might have taken a long time or a color correction.
Yeah, if the end goal is hair gold and it actually took you 8 hours and you charged 200, but it's still then you quickly will learn that you are now going to charge 500. And once you're comfortable with 500, you still have people coming in the door, then you're going to charge 700. You know what I mean? And then you're going to be like, oh, okay. Because people in my area used to think I was expensive.
Sure.
Like people, but I was basically selling Ferraris to people who are used to minivans. They didn't know what I was doing. They didn't know the price. Like I was doing like work and balayage before like they even know how to pronounce balayage. So when they wanted my work, they had to get so used to it and understand that it takes more effort. There's more to it. Right. So I didn't care. I stuck to my pricing. And then now fast forward where I'm not even doing hair, people will pay whatever I charge them. And I still like $80 an hour, $100 an hour is still right around what now 6-7 years later, people are now charging. So again, you have to charge what people are comfortable, and I call it price normality. Like you can't be $700 over here while everybody's $300 over here. If your 700 looks like they're 300, but if your 700 completely demolishes their $300 result, you will end up getting people, and that's what I was doing.
Right.
So, and that's the thing. Like again, like with it's just stylists. You just have to be honest with the pricing if you can or can't do it. There's just so much like secrecy or like just stylists are not honest. It just blows my mind. Like when people go to stores, what people like more girls. I know plenty of girls that have Louis Vuitton bags, right?
Right.
And how much do those cost?
Thousands. Right.
But what happens? They know they're going to go buy that bag and they know it's going to be $1,500, right?
Right.
But so they don't get there and be like, you know what? I was down at Coach and Coach kind of has the same bag for $700.
Right.
Why is yours better? Or they don't even go in there and say, oh, you're not worth $1,500. I was just at TJ Maxx and they had a juicy couture bag for $25. It's because there are plenty of girls with plenty of money willing to spend for what they want. Like, I don't know. It's crazy to me when I see a girl, I don't know if it's real or fake now, if their bag is Louis Vuitton, but their hair looks fucking crazy.
Right.
So I'm going to look at your bag and I'm going to look at your hair. And if your hair don't match your bag.
Well, that's what I think too. When I see clients come in and when I was afraid to talk about price, or when people are afraid, stylists are afraid to talk about price, but their clients are rolling in with their Louis bags and their Starbucks, and are they just, and you're afraid to raise the prices on them. You're afraid to like charge them more. They're not afraid to spend money, and their hair is something that they wear every single day. So don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, never, ever. I was never worried, and that goes about like being completely booked out and getting rid of the people. People always feel bad about the clients who they've had for so long about going up in their prices. If you've educated and you spent your money to get better and you're giving them better results than they came to you in the beginning, if their hair looks better from when they first started seeing you to now, charge them for how much better it is. You know what I mean? You don't go, I guess that, I don't know where if you went to a car dealership, but like, hey, you know what, John? I've been seeing you for a while. I'm buying my, we'll say Mercedes, because it's a big range there. I know I bought a C-Class C300, and you're only charging about $52,000, but I'm really looking at that McLaren, and I want you to charge me the same price. They'll fucking look at you like you're nuts. You're like, no, that's the McLaren, and that McLaren is $220,000.
Right.
Sorry, John. You know what I mean? But that's how hairstylists have to do. But we build this relationship of a scared price. Like it's like the price that is like really scares people. It blows my mind. But if you look outside of the world, everything is going up in prices, and there's tiers of everything. There's girls that shop at TJ Maxx. There's girls that shop at Nordstrom's, Bloomingdale's, and then there's people with private shoppers for them. There's levels to every, I don't even say girls, but there's levels to everybody making an income, willing to spend that income. So don't ever keep yourself down. Or assume. Always just go after the highest price. Like a little secret that I was doing, and if anybody wants to take this, when I had new clients coming to me from these bigger cities, knowing that they were unhappy with their hair and paying a certain amount, and I would say, well, what salon do you go to? Like, I would almost work into how much they got charged for the hair they were unhappy with, because that allowed me to go, like, again, where I'm at, like, to say you spent more than 400 on your hair is like crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So then I found out, so I'm in like this like 300, 400 range, right? But now I have these girls from these bigger cities spending 600 to 900 on their hair, unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, you know, like, I think your pricing is going to be like 600 to 700 probably. I changed my income by a small conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're coming to me happy, paying less. And now, so then the only thing you hesitate with or what happens is like the travel, but then that doesn't become an issue. Then they start bringing their friends, because birds of a feather flock together most of the time. So now all their friends who probably were going to the same stylist or same area are like, he's doing all that for 500, 600, 700. Like, we're going to come with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how it happened.
That's amazing, man. Well, it's been so freaking great chatting with you. I just want to have a closing remark from you on stylists right now that are trying to make a name for themselves on Instagram. It is really dang hard right now. I bet you've got some great advice for those types of people that are looking to really get noticed. What would you say?
Be you. Like, really don't try to do what everybody else, because if you look at Instagram right now, it looks 80% the same. Like, when I scroll, unless I really know you, it's all the same shit. Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's doing that fucking pinch thing. Like, just do, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right.
Just
right.
do, if you like the pinch, do the pinch.
Right.
But the reason, I guess, you have to go left when everybody's going right.
Right.
But be who you are, put who you are out there, because that's what people are buying into now, because there's so many stylists being commercials now that people are just swiping by a commercial. Like, you don't watch commercials on your TV, right? Do you have
God, no.
Correct. And you don't have like Pandora or whatever it is with commercials. You pay extra.
You pay to remove those damn things. Yeah.
And that's what the biggest stylists, most of the biggest stylists right now, people are swiping by just because they already know it's commercial.
Sure.
It's like the same thing. So if you want to stand out, you have to do something that really people aren't doing, or you just have to do something that makes you stand out. You have to do things that make stand out.
Or like sprinkle in bits of yourself, bits of your personality. So they don't
introduce yourself.
Get to know you and your work, but like the raw you, right? Like more raw, more real.
Who you really are. And people don't like you. Like for instance, like, I'm keeping myself under 100,000. Like right now, if I didn't remove people, I'd probably be at like 106,000.
Sure.
But I don't even want to go to 100,000, because what do people say? Oh, that's because you have 100,000 followers.
Right.
I've been the same person doing the same things since 200 followers. You know what I mean? My motivation, my speech, what I say has not changed, but people think things happen better for you or given to you because you have 100,000. So I don't even want 100,000. You know what I mean? So
don't you also want to, you have a goal of making $1 million before you get to 100,000, right? And then you're just going to let the floodgates open.
Yeah. And then I'm going to start, I'm switching, I'm transitioning, because I'm going to give away my Blonde education. But I'm going to still be part of it on the business side, because I realize that stylists don't even have their businesses correctly set up. They don't even know, like, even when it comes down to credit, like, they can they can clean their credit with one form. Like, there's so many more things to a business than your advertising images, and advertising images being their work they're putting on Instagram. So much. And I realized this through Corona, where you think this person with 400,000 or more than 400,000 followers should not have a GoFundMe account set up.
Right.
Because you think, like, if you have a 400,000, you have a color line, you're doing this, you're on every brand, you should be like, from these smaller accounts, they think these people are well off, they're very successful, got their shit together. It's just a number.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I really want to step back.
If you haven't found a way to monetize that number, you're not creating a business for yourself. You're not creating a long future for yourself.
Yeah. And it just come down to the bare minimum, actually being like, damn, like a year ago, you know, I had all this bad credit, or my accounts weren't set up, but like, you know, Hair Like a Boss helped me. Just knowing that I'm actually helping people on some real shit, that's all I'm cool with. You know what I mean? Like, I just want the blonde solutions to do well. And I authentically obviously you have to pay me, because time, I'll get a lot of freebies out, but like when it comes down to real estate, I have to pay. It's just time. But I do want to help stylists kind of get their business correct and set up, so we can stop seeing so many people go from owning a loft, or having a salon and then being forced to close. They don't even realize that there's so many different grants and loans out there that you're just paying on the interest just to keep open. Like there's so much information that people don't know about that can help their true business, that they're just shutting their doors because they think, or two things. They don't have the credit, the credit cards. They don't have a foundation. Like a lot of stylists work day to day. They almost work to make that next paycheck, which you can't be.
Right. It's not a fun way to live.
No, that's on everything. But I do see a lot of stylists that are just like, I come from nothing. That's where I come from. Like no credit. Yeah. Like never a new car. Like even to this point, I've never owned a new car, like ever. Because I always made sure I had the money and I would go buy a car cash because a car is nothing to me. A car is to get to A to B. And I've always wanted a Lamborghini. So like right now I could go buy basically whatever car I want, but I want a Lamborghini. So say if I bought a Porsche, it's not
a Lamborghini. It's amazing, but it's not what you want. Yeah.
But that's what people expect. They expect you to have something, but I'm like, nah, that's $100,000 away from my Lamborghini. Like if I had that car, that's how I look at it.
When you get that, I want to come visit you so I can get a ride in one.
Yeah. You just have to come to Massachusetts.
No worries. Sounds worth it.
That's my inspiration, I guess you say, my motivation.
Awesome. Bro, thank you so much. It's been such an entertaining chat, and I knew this was going to be so much fun. There's still so much more I want to talk to you about, so I want to bring you back on the podcast in the near future, all right?
Yeah, no problem. And just kind of rein me in because I could talk forever.
I know, man. This is great. I love it. You make my job easy.
Yeah, thank you.
So Dan, how can people find you?
Hair Like a Boss on Instagram, literally hair like a boss. And then Blonde Solutions.
You hear that, everybody? All right. Hairpreneurs,
very simple.
Go try some Blonde Solutions and follow Hair Like a Boss and give him a DM and say what's up.
Ryan, if you want that bleach, hit me up.
All right. Sure will, man. All right. It's been a pleasure, brother. I love hearing from you. And by the way, have you subscribed to the podcast yet? Oh my gosh, if you haven't, please do so right now because there's so much cool stuff ahead. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because it would be much cooler if you did. Plus, I don't want you to miss any of the new episodes I'm dropping weekly. Last thing, if you haven't checked out ryanweeden.com yet, there are some great freebies on there that I want to give you. So go ahead and check it out, ryanweeden.com. Thank you so much for listening. You are awesome.